I'm a huge boxing fanatic. Okay. I watch every major card. I just watched the Inoue card. I watch probably most of the minor cards as well. Okay. If Matchroom Boxing is putting on something, I'm probably watching it no matter what rinky dink hall in England it's probably happening in. I just like boxing. It's something that I used to do with my grandfather, and I have that connection with him, and I love the sport dearly. It's very exciting. I try to keep up with all the belts and such, and even the sanctioning bodies and all that nonsense. And so I'm quite territorial about my sport. I'm quite territorial about it. And when I see people treating it with disrespect, either when talking about the sweet science as a sport science and how somebody learns boxing and what it means to be a good boxer and the amount of effort and time and skill it takes to do that, or when somebody disrespects it as a business, right? Now, I have not been a huge fan of the Jake Paul mania from a business point of view or from what it means for when we're talking about the respect of the sport itself. I don't think Jake Paul dancing around the ring for 6 rounds and then straddling his legs makes the sport look good. I don't think it brings more viewership to the sport. And you want to know what? It seemed the viewers agreed with me. With only 33 million live viewers, it did worse than both Mike Tyson, and it did worse than Terrence Bud Crawford v. Canelo. So obviously there was a way to get people in the seats, but not everybody is going to keep tuning in to the Jake Paul experience if you're just going to watch him fight an old man or you're going to watch him straddle somebody's legs. And so, from inside the boxing world, I don't want to say inside the boxing world like I'm in the tops of the elites, but from inside boxing fanaticism, I can see the problem with the Jake Paul experience the longer it goes on when it comes from a business point of view, when it comes to the health of the sport. Now, that's the only other big star related to boxing and somewhat social politics due to his dipping into the political world that I've had any reason to talk about boxing. I haven't had any other reason, because I if I could find an excuse to just talk about boxing all day, I would. I have another excuse now. Andrew Tate had a fight, and it was a boxing match, which that surprised me first off, because I know that Andrew Tate isn't a boxer. I know Andrew Tate used to be a mixed martial artist, but mixed martial arts and boxing are two very different things. In mixed martial arts, depending upon the mixed martial arts, you can grapple, you can kick. You can use your elbows and your knees. There's so much more at your disposal, and there's so much more that you necessarily need to look out for. And on that undercard of Jake Paul, the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua undercard, Anderson Silva knocked out Tyron Woodley, somebody with an MMA background, by faking and feinting like he was gonna knee him, like he was about to go for like a leg strike, and then hit him with a hand, because he had been programmed so much to look out for that even though he could never, because it would be 100% illegal, it was enough to throw him off. And just like stuff like that, you can really trip up a mixed martial artist going into boxing, because you're taking away most of their tools and you're telling them you got to use like A and B. You got to use your hands, and that's it. You got to use the hands and your ability to distance yourself in the ring. Good luck. So I already knew that was going to be bad for Andrew Tate. And I thought that, that's something that could go awry for him, and he could do poorly. But I ultimately thought that Andrew Tate would win, because I just thought that the stakes were too high for him to go out there, try to fight for some Misfits title. Misfits is like a very, it's not a Big Four boxing belt. It's not even a regional belt. It's a belt. That'd be something you could call. It is a belt that you can win in boxing, but it is certainly not Ring Magazine, right? And so he goes out to have this fight against a guy called DeMoor, who is not a boxer, he was not like, and when I say not a boxer, I mean to say that this is not Anthony Joshua. This is not somebody who is a trained super professional boxer. This is somebody who specifically succeeded in this misfit rinky-dink boxing environment. And I'm not trying to be mean to them. I'm just saying, compare. If you were to throw this guy in with somebody like Bivol, he would die. If you were to throw this guy, the person that Andrew Tate fought, with somebody like Gassiev, or God forbid, so put him up a weight class or something like Usyk. Again, any top level competition, you take Bodu Jack, and anybody who follows boxing would know what I'm saying by this, and you put him in the ring with Bodu Jack and he will die. And this is not to be mean, that is to just be clear about the level of competition that Andrew Tate was fighting here. And he talked big, he talked strong. He said he was going to go in there, get a belt, he was going to look cool for all of his fans, and he was going to show people what an alpha could do. But not only did Andrew Tate not look good, Andrew Tate lost in 2 rounds. And then afterwards, he had the dude he fought talking about him like Andrew Tate was his personal therapy, and he just fixed his life and marriage counseling. Like, this dude had just worked through his trauma by whooping his ass.
I have all the respect in the world for this man. This man literally pulled me out of a suicide, man. I was going to kill myself after that first fight. And this man works every single day on his podcast. Told me if I do that shit, man. I don't care what anybody says about this guy. He's a fucking legend, man. Legend. Respect, brother. Thank you so much.
That dude, to me, that's worse than if he would have just called him a bitch and that was the end of it. To me, that's worse. For somebody to work their trauma out through your face, that's worse to me. Okay, maybe you guys can disagree with me if you want. I don't know if I want somebody to whoop my ass that much and then try to be my friend like that afterwards. Look, I like good sportsmanship. Good sportsmanship is one thing. If he was just to say, like, good fight, you don't want to beat down the person you just beat, because if you say they suck, well, then what does that mean for you? If you just beat somebody that sucks, then you probably suck too. So it doesn't make sense to like beat them down, but you don't want to be out there like, hey man, you got this. You know what? You're really good, dog. If you work on, you know what? Hey, here's some advice, man. The only thing that could have been worse is if Chase afterwards was like, hey dude, what you need to do is when you hook, you should go. That's the only thing that could have made it worse in that public setting for somebody like him, in my mind. But I have to show you guys a few of these, actually, because when I say he got, I forgot it was that bad. Let me show you guys some clips here. I've talked too much about it, but we haven't actually watched it.
Here, it was a push. Yeah, it was a push. But still, DeMoor.
Now again, this is like after 2 rounds, this dude was done. After 2 rounds, it was over. When I said it was done in 2 rounds, after the first 2 rounds, man, Andrew Tate was gassed. He seemed like he didn't want to be there. He seemed like he was just he was somewhere else. He wanted to be anywhere but there. And so this honestly and this is what makes it worse. A lot of this is Tate, I think, underestimating boxing and paying the toll because of that. Great freeze frame, by the way. Perfect moment. A lot of it also is he just didn't want it. He just didn't have that dog in him. And if you are after 2 rounds are that gassed and you're that tired, after Andrew Tate did that whole show of flying out all those incel losers that follow him and then like beating them up in the ring to just show them how tough and assertive, after doing that, and I'm trying to just be blunt here, the Charlie Kirk like UFC style of just like getting the college students out and just bam, 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 one after the other. And then going from that to being gassed out in 2 rounds. I mean, he does not inspire me as an athlete, I guess is my point. He does not inspire me as an athlete.
But still, DeMoor right in front of him, continues to strike. Tate eating shot after shot, trying to escape. This could be the beginning of the end. 49 seconds. DeMoor has nothing but time. Pounding away. Andrew returning nothing. He needs to defend himself. And then if Chase DeMoor just got a bit of space, he'd be able to finish this. Tate trying to clinch for desperation. so clearly on display. He has no power left in his punches. He has nothing left. The blood flowing from the top G. Final 10 seconds of round number 5. DeMoor selling out with the right hand. Andrew surviving. If DeMoor just fired even one shot to the body. Big blow from the champion.
Like what? This isn't a this is the thing that's worse. It's not even fun to watch, and this is the biggest problem for me. All of this, right? There is a sellable aspect to Andrew Tate getting punched in the face. Yes, I don't know how much of a sellable aspect it is for me if it's that type of like smothered punching, right? Because when I think of somebody getting punched in the face, I think of a snappy punch. I don't think of a smothered punch. I don't think of they're leaning on you and they're like half collapsed in on you punch. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking snappy punching. Shoot in, you shoot out, so you can shoot out and shoot in again, right? That's what I was thinking, but that's not what Andrew Tate got gassed out on. He got gassed out not only by, the earlier rounds, obviously it looked better, but going later into it by a bunch of smothered punches. So again, when I'm saying like this guy is not on world level, I am being particularly kind to him. If Andrew Tate was in there with anybody in any weight class close to him that would have been in the top 25 of any weight division, he would not have gotten to the end of the bell. Period. End of paragraph. I mean, come on, man. This is not supreme boxing skill that took him out. It is not. I'm not trying to be mean to Chase. It's just to say that this is pretty reckless punching. He keeps his arms down when he comes in. In fact, if Andrew Tate was a good enough counter puncher, he could have set him up. There's like, he had options, but he looks scared. Honestly, he looks like he's delaying being able to swing in a lot of these punches when he's getting thrown around like this. And that's what's happening to him. He's getting thrown around, man. Oh my God. Man, when I've seen watching Andrew Tate get whooped like this kind of reminds me of the same, like watching like a false prophet come out and actually give a date for the rapture. It's like, why did you even agree to this, man? If you weren't going to go in there and show some like, new ninjutsu style, like you were going to blow everybody away with your new, training package that you're going to sell online in a 5-part series, multi-tiered or whatever, then what's the point? What was the point of any of this? But did he buy his own nonsense? Is that really it? That he basically went to town to sell his snake oil, and by the time he left, he was sipping his own supply? That's all I can assume. Oh, wait, actually, I do have a list of things that he blamed, besides himself, of course. In 100 years from now, this is just some quotes after the fight. Somewhere on the new earth, there will be a man reading about me in a history section of the Skynet. And that's not because I never lost, but instead because I always tried. Here's Andrew Tate 1 year ago. What do you call someone who loses? A loser. Here's some of the things that he blamed besides him being a loser. He blamed age. He said that, hey, I was too old, and that's the problem. I do also want to say that the Spider was on Paul's undercard, and he knocked out Tyron Woodley. And he did it, again, feinting a leg strike. And that man is old. Talking about a 50-year-old. Anyway, he blamed his retirement. So, hey, he was retired. He hasn't fought in 10 years. Come on. And if you don't fight in 10 years, of course, you're going to be rusty. I do want to say he did fight 3 times in 2020, which was 5 years ago. So that's also not true, but he did blame it anyway. He also blamed the fact that the dude he fought was younger and bigger than him. Also, he picked DeMoor. he picked somebody who was younger and bigger than him because he thought he could exploit his lack of experience, but then his size and youth and energy and just and desire for it ended up outweighing him. He blamed his jail time. Remember that when he was in jail? Well, he blamed that. Seems a little silly. Also, if we're really gonna say that that jail time is what broke Andrew Tate, then how did Sonny Liston become champion? Okay, if Andrew Tate at the time was posting all those Instagram pictures of like him like in the cell trying to look cool and worn down and like he's standing up against everything, Sonny Liston got discovered in prison. The idea that Andrew Tate lost his ability to fight by being behind a cell for a short period is of course silly. He also blamed God, which if God forced him to lose, he's destined to lose, is what he said, which is just a great way of thinking. You know, if you lose, you're destined to lose. The alpha mindset. Just everything is God. If you win, it's God. If you lose, it's God. Actually, if you win, it's all you. If you lose, well, that's of course the man upstairs' fault. If your little cousin listens to this guy and thinks he is cool, you are doing him an active service by taking his phone and flushing it down the toilet.